thought I had scrap bits of wood in there. Basically, simple shelf, right? Some old liquid nails, old bits of wood that have been laying around in this boat for a long time. And it's a classic finally getting around to doing something. It's just simple, right? Nothing elaborate, because the more I consider something needing to be elaborate, the longer it takes me to do it. If I just put something in simple for the now, eventually the elaborate evolution will eventually follow. So it's just a simple shelf to start getting things up, and as you can see, getting more order in the boat. It's a very peculiar thing. Maybe there's a science about it. It seems the moment that you obtain more free space, you seem to extract from the ether, however it works, more things to occupy that space. One of the reasons behind getting a boat, to live on a boat, was to put an emphasis on minimalization. Just simple, functional, practical things, whilst allowing certain luxuries, like a TV, for example, or an Xbox, called as tools, battery operated tools, things like this. So, if you've got nothing to do and you're literally at the end of your scroll session, then put on some music and maybe have a laugh at me putting something simple together and taking the long way around to do it. Here we are. Because I find myself actually enjoying watching videos where people are just working away. So that's what I'm going to do. Scrap bits of wood. Looks pretty cool. Almost looks like it's a floating shelf. Scrap bit of wood. Here's the vertical. I'll put this bit of wood on the edge and use this as an underneath support for the shelf. And we'll just screw that in. That should work. No. So it's very plain to see, anyone who's been watching, that it's very basic. It's very simple. Scrap bits of wood that have been in the boat for a long time. And instead of shifting things here and there, and as I mentioned, instead of doing something elaborate right now because that hose needs to come out, there needs to be, things done up in here. So to do something elaborate sort of not defeats the purpose, but it is excess energy. So this is very simple, but it's functional. Just like when I built this one. Same deal. It's been serving its purpose. And it just means, so when it comes to taking all of this down and away, I don't need to pull anything apart that I've built elaborate. You understand? And it also allows me to keep an eye on water. So somewhere in my collection of videos, when I first got this boat, there was just water just running in here. And you can tell, right? You can tell. Right. That all up in there, and what they've done here. And I guess I'm just adding in my bits and pieces, you see. So I can't really make any judgment, but it gives me an idea on, hang on, let me not do it that way, because I don't think that's a very good way. And I'm gonna name drop and put another YouTuber, Dominic Tarr, because I like his approach. Very, very simple but effective, right? And he's obviously got some smarts, that fella. And one of the things that he mentioned in one of his videos, when he was doing a video about his Raven 26, was just keeping things simple but also effective, and then allowing for easy maintenance. So things like this, back in the day, that's how they did it, right? But to me, there's too much going on. So doing things simple like this works for me, because I can, like I said, evolve it along the way. Hang on, let me not do it that way. Let me do it this way, because what if I want to get access to that? So having something simple that's functional. I'll just be able to put some stuff up onto that shelf now. Right, then I can put some of the stuff that's in there, which then will give me access, start working on in there and getting that organized. So bits and pieces. So it's been a bit hiddly biddly, you know. But as, what's his name, Rich Roll says, and I'm getting an idea of it as well. Like, I don't need to rush. But I do need to do something. And I can go, you know what, I did something today. And that's a bit what this is all about, isn't it? Doing something like this, even this video. Why not? Turn the camera on, right? It's something. doing something. I'm contributing towards the potential. I can think about it, I can want it, I can dream, I can desire. But if I'm not doing, then all of that is just, it's just steam, really, isn't it? It's just steam off the water. Like you can see it, but then it doesn't last. Like it has no weight to it. It doesn't really become anything. If anything, it disappears. It's the last of what it was. But if I start doing something, there's the potential where that steam is getting condensed and then reforming into water. A bit philosophical and all that. It's part of Iron Wake Maritime. It's learning, it's like me learning to find my peace in the way that I live through a philosophical way of thinking that derives from living in this way. It's almost like a feedback loop. So I'm actually in the experience of my own evolution of myself. Hmm. So, and it looks good, like even even though it's so basic, right? Basic, and the comments out there, anyone comes across will go, "Oh, should have done this," and you know what? You're right. I could have done it that way, and I could have. But if you listen and pay attention, why, you'd go, well, fair enough. That'll do for the second, right? I mean, the next big test will be when the swells come. But we're doing all right. We're doing all right. I mean, my little ode to Dad up there, things are staying together. Some things fall off. That little fisherman on the end there, he's fallen off a couple of times. Maybe I'll put him down here. But now I have a little spot to put my laptop, which will be good. Yeah. I'm pretty chuffed with that. And here's another clue for you all. Even though that is so simple and so basic, and you could almost say crude, right? It is functional. It does have some structural integrity or ability to it. Okay, it will hold its own. You can see I've got things on it. But the cue or the clue to share with you is that it's a physical representation of the idea of what can become or what is actually becoming. Instead of me just looking at that space, and I mean, that's in a way part of it, looking at that space going, man, I need to just put some type of shelf there, right? How would, okay, if I just put a bit of wood across there, screw that, put that on, we'll just put a post there. I know, just where's that old hinge? Use that old hinge. There's that other scrap of wood there. There's that other scrap. There's that old tube of liquid nails that's probably been in this boat since the 80s, right? Let's just use that up, right? Let's just use that up. And there we have it. Eventually, that space, as I said, gets filled. And I'm learning that there's a consciousness about that. There's a consciousness of, yeah, what are my thoughts occupying? So thoughts obviously start in the mind. There's an occupation in the mind, but then from that there's a catalyst, and you could call that manifestation or whatever, but let's call it a catalyst, that it becomes a conversion into a physical representation. This shelf is a physical representation, because look, ideally, my desire is to push all of that flush to the hole, and then that just gives me all this wonderful space. Okay, and then I can utilize the vertical space. I don't have this area, so at the moment, to me, it gets lost. Plus, it's a what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, as you can see, it's just a potential hazard, right? Just because of the old school way that they've done this. This is an old boat. So I want to basically lift that walkway up to the roof here and take it out to the hole. And so to get to the bow of the boat, I walk on the roof. You see? So that's why that shelf is just very simply built. Does that make sense? Like, why would you do it like that? Why would you? Maybe that's a question that's being asked. That's my why. Yeah, but it's cool, isn't it? How many things? Let me just use myself as the example. How many things have I thought about and never converted? Right? They just ended up turning into a vapor and into a nothingness. This went back out into the ether. Really? And then, which allowed someone else to then convert that energy into a physical. How many times, here's an example, how many times have you thought about something, maybe a week, even the next day or a month, and you see the physical representation? You're like, man, I was just thinking about that idea the other day. Damn, I'd be a millionaire, all those type of things, which is true. I think many of us actually would have a really good life if we did those things. I know for a fact, just being in this space on my own gives me a lot of time and space, right, to look at what I've done and what I haven't done with my life. And one of those things is just simply, yeah, putting things into play. It doesn't matter if they don't have all the bells and whistles on them in the very beginning. The fact that I'm doing something is contributing to the momentum of that thing's evolution. And occupying, let's say, real estate, or a position in my life, in my reality, simply because I went, enough of thinking about it. Let's do something about it. And that's what we did. And this is the thing with, I like Iron Wake Marathon, behind the intention behind what is Iron Wake Maritime. It's exactly this: how a simple shelf, right, scrap bits of wood can lead into this deeper way of thinking about life. And because it's there, it's always there, right there for you. We're so busy. Have been so busy. Let me just keep referring to me, and then maybe you can tune in and go, yeah, yeah, that resonates with me. I was so exterior, right? Externally looking for the answers. Now, granted, it does aid in learning where to find the answers more within your own doing. It's what do you call a double-edged sword, something of that nature. So maybe it is part of it. You could call this an external. You're going and watching a YouTube video, and then you get a learning from it, which allows you to learn more for yourself, understanding how to learn more from yourself, by yourself, for yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, very cool, very cool. And so, when something like this little shelf here, now I'm getting this visual representation, right? It'll lead me on to the next thinking or steaming or boiling of the water, let's say, and creating the steam. But then going, oh, hang on, let's not boil the water too much here, because if you've ever boiled water and forgotten, you lose the water. And so that's my theory or metaphor in thinking about something. Avoid boiling the water too much. Like boil it until it's boiled, if that makes sense. So that's think about the idea enough to go, I have an idea how I can put it into physical. This little shelf is a perfect example. Right. So in closing, be okay with not getting it fantastic. Too, I was too, I was too invested in others' critique. For example, this video. There's a good chance if I word this title well enough, I'll get some attention. I'll get some views. And there's a good chance someone in there won't get to this part of the video and understand the higher level of thinking. They'll just look at it through a very corridored way. And so they'll be quick to make judgment and critique. And that's fine. That's fine. Right? Because I'm not interested in that. I don't give two hoots because I already know. And that's another thing. If when you're doing this, putting things into play, practicing converting the idea into its physical representation, it doesn't mean that it has to be the final thing or that that's how it is. You can always make alterations, right? You can always make alterations. And that's this cool thing about being a human being on the planet Earth. and the free will, so to say, within reason of it all, that we can have we can make alterations. To me, that's part of one's evolution. So there'll be people here that'll be listening to this, and there'll be people that didn't. And maybe that's the part where I say, simple video, I bet you don't watch it all. Maybe. Try and do some copywriting in there. But how about that? A simple little video in real time with a bonus philosophy at the end. Like how a simple shelf can actually provoke deeper thinking. I bet you don't watch to the end. But be good. Be good. I'm learning now that my suffering, let me finish off with this one. This is the extra gold nugget for you. That my personal suffering has purely been, or has derived from my deliberate ignorance, right? To commit to my conscious knowing of the practice that was the source of promoting, creating, and delivering a benefit into my life for my immediate self. So personal suffering, okay? That's it. It's the deliberate ignorance to not act on or commit to the known practice, which you could call thoughts, feelings, actions, and behavior. And you know consciously that they are a beneficial factor, or the source of. So eating better, eating differently, that's part of be good. And it's at your own leisure, really. Like healthy is heal thyself, healthy self, heal thyself. So yeah, be good, and put things into play that you know are good for you, because that's healthy.